Okay. We're gonna need to have a full, a complete conversation with the professors, just as you and I have. Where all the nuance and each detail can be asked about by law enforcement. And there's two parts to communicate. It's in writing or respectfully, not interpreted. I'm not adverse at all. You ask some questions now, but I just know. It's pretty difficult to do it. You have to know.
Yeah. Well, everybody's okay with the marks, so we'll just.
It makes sense to do it, you know. I just think when muzzling the guy, we don't muzzle. We don't want to muzzle. No, I don't want to muzzle. Never muzzle. Y'all want to muzzle.
On the occasion before.